Here we go. Haven't done this in a while. A little rusty.
That's what she said.
Top 10
Welcome in to Top 10. We're just a small mom and pop video shop, but you're sure to find something to watch on a Friday night. I'm Robi, and beside me is my sugary sweet Hollipop.
Hi.
This podcast is retracing my steps during the years I worked as a clerk at a small video store called Top 10 Video in the even smaller town of Lockport, Louisiana. We started the journey back in November of 1996, and we have now arrived, and she's already yawning. It doesn't take long. As soon as we start talking about the old video store, you're just like, I need a nap.
Sorry. Oh, keep going.
We have now arrived at July of 1997. What were you doing in July of 97?
Who knows what they're doing at that time? July of 97.
Well, you graduated from high school in May of 96.
Yeah.
And you
So
started college.
I was that would be right after my freshman year of college.
It's the summer after your freshman year, yes.
It was hot as crap because it was in Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
So I was probably sweating somewhere.
I was dreading beginning my second year of college.
Really?
Yes. I was still a mass comm major at this point, and I wasn't happy with that track. And the following year, I would switch to art education.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Fun times. That's it.
Yeah, I think I was still a history education major.
Okay. All right. Well, I've got a presentation for the top 10 video rentals from July 19th, 1997. Such a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And here were the top 10 video rentals from July 19th, 1997. Number 10 was Marvin's Room, starring a fresh-faced pre-superstardom Leonardo DiCaprio.
I remember that movie. I just don't remember anything about it.
That's exactly what my notes are here. Okay, so
it's strange. I know this is a Halloween episode, but we're recording it early, and Diane Keaton just died today. So it's
very sad. When you texted me, "Rip Diane Keaton" earlier today, I knew this was in the list, and I was like, "Oh wow, it's ironic in a very sad way that she just passed." Was it today? Actually, today?
I believe it was today.
Okay, wow. Yeah, 79.
I read about it today. I mean, it may have happened earlier, but
yeah, I know I watched this movie, and I just the only thing I remember about it is that it was depressing. Because I think there's somebody dying from leukemia. I think Marvin is the old man, their relative who's dying, played by Hume Cronin, and I believe DiCaprio is one of their children. I forget. They're sisters, I believe, Meryl and Diane. And they're having to take care of their aging father. And DiCaprio is kind of I don't know. Somebody gets leukemia and they're dying, and it's just a sad story.
Yeah.
Sort of like hearing Diane Keaton died.
Yeah.
Also sad.
Bummer.
Yes, she was actually nominated for Best Actress for this movie. She did not win, but she was nominated. And nobody really talks about this one in relation to her career, but Marvin's Room. Let's see if we can get this to work here. All right, next one, number 9, is One Fine Day. It was on the list last month, so it's been hanging around. Has dropped a bit. George Clooney and Michelle Pfeiffer up to some rom-com shenanigans here. We watched this movie together. You fell asleep.
Did I? I thought I'd seen it a long time ago, but I like Michelle Pfeiffer.
I do too. Yeah, so. I do too. All right, number 8. Also on the charts from last month, this Sylvester Stallone vehicle, very reminiscent of classic disaster flicks like The Poseidon Adventure, Earthquake.
Are they trapped in a tunnel in this
They are trapped in a tunnel under the Hudson River in Jersey. Okay. And
I've seen that.
Yeah, I saw it at the theater, and I liked it. I was a big Stallone fan back in the day, and yeah, years later, Sylvester Stallone would say, The premise was really good, but it didn't deliver.
That was your Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, that was bad, I know.
We should do a version of this movie, but it's the tunnel in Homa.
I don't think it would be quite as effective. But you never know. You never know.
And everybody's trapped in there with the Rougarou.
You're right. Hey, maybe that could work. That might actually work. Number 7 is Scream, and it is our feature film this month, and we will discuss it at length once we get through the lists. Someone's taken their love of scary movies one step too far. Number 6. Number 6 was Beavis and Butthead Do America, a full-on theatrical version of the hit MTV series created by Mike Judge. Were you a fan of Beavis and Butthead?
The only one I remember was when Beavis is Beavis. Yeah, Beavis is the blonde one, right?
I think so, yes.
Beavis thought he was pregnant.
Okay.
That's the only one I remember. So was I a fan? I wouldn't go back and watch it again.
This is what me and my friends used to do. I wasn't allowed to watch MTV back in the day, so every once in a while I would catch a few minutes of Beavis and Butthead. It was just super obnoxious to me. Like, every once in a while they were kind of funny, but I don't remember watching this movie. I know I probably did, but I don't remember it.
Yeah. Now, isn't the same guy that did this the same guy that did Idiocracy?
Yes.
Which was a masterpiece. So
Masterpiece. He also did King of the Hill, the other animated series.
I think if we rewatched it through the lens of how he felt society was heading,
yes,
it might be better rather than seeing it like as teenagers. We're just like, these guys are douchebags.
Exactly,
you know?
and they're dumbasses. But I honestly think that he was actually making a bit of a commentary on the youth of America, and in a way, I don't want to say making fun of them, but just sort of like, this is how it is. This is what the young people are like, and they ate it up. Yeah, it was a hugely popular. Siskel and Ebert gave it 2 thumbs up, for God's sake. So, yeah, the movie apparently was.
Well, maybe since they were older, they saw the meaning behind it all. Whereas when we were younger at the time, and we just it kind of went over our heads.
Yeah, well, we laughed at the goofy jokes, but I think there was probably subtext there that we missed as young people.
I mean, people were acting like Beavis and Butthead in school. Trying to emulate those characters.
Oh, that's all we did. That's all we did. And I didn't even watch the show when I did it.
You did it? You were one of those?
Oh, I was like,
oh my God.
That's all we did. Hey, Beavis. Yes, number 5 was Tim Burton's Mars Attacks, which I was really gunning to watch this one. But since we skipped last month, we had to go direct to the horror film. But Mars Attacks, Tim Burton's ode to classic cheesy sci-fi films of the 1950s, and believe it or not, based on a Topps trading card series called Mars Attacks.
I did see that one. Yeah, I think I saw it in the theater.
Really? Wow. Lucky you.
Well, I think I wanted to because it looked like it was funny. So I wanted to see it in the theater.
I honestly don't remember a lot from this one. Other than the aliens. The aliens were very iconic, and they were Sarah Jessica Parker with the body of a dog.
And everybody was trying to welcome the aliens, but really the aliens weren't nice.
It was like, yes, roll out the red carpet, but they were actually just trying to destroy us.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was another societal commentary in this movie that we missed
Absolutely.
back then. But a stacked cast. I mean, you have Jack Nicholson playing the President of the United States. You have Glenn Close, all these Academy Award winners and nominees. Pierce Brosnan's in this, Danny DeVito, as I said before, Sarah Jessica Parker, who apparently was not high enough on the cast list to make the box cover. She is not there.
She's not? Isn't she the one right there with the dog body?
Well, her picture is right here, but I'm saying her name is not.
Oh, okay.
In the cast list up here.
Her picture made the cover, so that's good enough.
Yeah, well, I guess she was fine with it. I don't remember a lot from this movie, but every time I see either this box cover or some pictures from the movie, I kind of want to rewatch it. I hope that it's better than I remember it was. It's sort of a cult classic now.
Yeah, I can see that.
Next up, number 4, The People versus Larry Flint.
Saw that.
Woody Harrelson plays Hustler creator Larry Flint, and quite a wacky story. The film when it came out, much like Larry Flint himself, was very controversial. Apparently, feminist Gloria Steinem criticized it for portraying a sanitized version of Larry Flint's publication and sort of treated him as sort of this beacon of free speech. And in reality, he was probably just a kind of a pervert, because, I mean, he was involved in porn, from a very young age. And some of the stuff he depicted in Hustler, especially in those earlier issues before it became super big, was some stuff you might call demeaning to women. He is also portrayed as a crazy ass person in this movie. I mean, if you watch it, I mean,
I don't think that they kind of portrayed him as a. But I mean,
but
even
just this
it did make a point.
cover.
Even if you don't agree with it, our country believes in free speech.
Yes, that's the whole thing.
That was the whole point. I wouldn't say that they're glorifying him.
No, but look at this cover. In my mind, this cover is saying Larry Flint, they were trying to stifle his free speech, like the America was trying to stifle him from doing what he wanted to do. But some of what he wanted to do was, in all fairness, kind of gross. So, regardless, the movie was directed by Milos Forman, he of Amadeus and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest fame, and actually racked up some award nominations and wins. So, and Rolling Stone thought it was the best picture of the year. Alrighty, rolling right along here. Number 3 was Michael.
Or Michael.
John Travolta was on the charts with Phenomenon, you'll recall, for the first half of 1997.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's back at it at number 3 with The Tale of an Angel Who Is No Saint, directed by rom-com queen Nora Ephron. This was a bit of a departure for her because it wasn't a romantic comedy, and Michael was kind of a dick.
Yeah.
Like, that was kind of the whole idea. He's a boozing, smoking slob, but, imparts unexpected wisdom, through his slobbery. So, I don't know. I don't remember liking this one very much. Of course, I watched it, but I can't remember specifics. I just remember there's a scene with him in the shower with his wings, and he was smoking a cigarette. I don't know.
I don't think I liked it very much either.
Yeah. Maybe there is a love story. I don't remember. Andy McDowell's in this, and William Hurt, Bob Hoskins. Great cast. Michael. Number 2 was actually our last episode, which I had to do by myself because you were otherwise engaged. Gibson and Ron Howard's flick is still hanging out at the top of the chart here. It was actually 1 or 2 last month, so it's still high up there. And believe it or not,
I did watch it with you, though.
You did watch it with me.
I did watch it.
Yes, and you fell asleep before the end, but
it was a good movie, though.
Yeah, slam bang thriller, you might say. Number 1,
Jerry Maguire,
Tom
show me the money.
Cruise and Jerry Maguire still at number 1. They were number 1 in June, and it's still number 1 towards the end of July here. Cameron Crowe, Jerry Maguire, Tom Cruise, and Cuba Gooding Jr. still being shown the money.
Yeah, I liked that movie.
Great
there were
movie.
a lot of movies that I actually saw on that list. 1997, I guess in July 1997, I was watching a lot of movies. I probably spent a lot of time at Blockbuster.
Yes, and I spent a lot of time at Top 10 Video.
It's your job.
So, because it was my job. All right, so let's head back to Scream, number 7. This movie came out in December of 1996. It was almost like a Christmas movie. They weren't advertising it as that, but it came out 5 days before Christmas. We should mention that there will be spoilers here.
Yeah, I hadn't seen the movie all the way through.
So if you haven't ever watched Scream in the last 29 years,
I think I'm one of the only people that hasn't watched Scream.
Bow out now.
Scream.
Well, now you have watched it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching. I didn't go to the theater. Obviously, I was 18 years old when the movie came out. And I wasn't into horror movies back then because I wasn't allowed to watch them growing up. And so, yeah, I really watched no horror movies growing up. And so this was, believe it or not, the first R-rated horror movie that I ever saw in my life. And I watched it at my friend James's house on VHS.
James is always guilty of showing
James is guilty of showing me a lot of movies that I probably should not have been watching. But I was a grown-ass man at this point. I was 18. So, I mean, I actually...
Wait a minute. Let's backtrack. You think 18 is a grown man?
Well, depends on... the environment around you, I suppose. But yes, it was the first. I thought I was a grown ass man. I was like, I'm 18 years old. God damn it, I'm going to watch an R-rated horror movie. But look, I have no ill will towards my parents from restricting what we could watch, because I think I was a better person for it. And the fact that I viewed a lot of some of that more disturbing stuff when I was older, I think,
Yeah, you
probably
understood and processed it better.
good. Yeah, I could process it better. And so I watched this at James's house on VHS, and I remember loving it. But I almost felt bad about loving it, because I was a good Christian kid. And let's be honest, the actions of some of the characters in the film are truly diabolical once you get to the, I mean, not to mention the opening scene, all that shit. But when you realize that, unlike a lot of the other slasher films where you were had a little bit of a disconnect between the killer, it was always sort of this, Michael Myers, with a mask, where you almost wouldn't identify him as a person, because he had this hockey mask. Jason with the hockey mask, Michael Myers with the other mask, Freddy Krueger he was like not even a real human. He was like a creature that tormented you in your dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you had Chucky, who was like a doll, possessed doll. These were like real people. That these were like the killers turn out to be characters that you follow through the entire movie, that you may actually have a little bit of affection for.
Yeah, like the real animal of this movie was Drew Barrymore, because that popcorn scene, like, I was fucking getting pissed. Like, she was right there by the stove. I'm like, the popcorn's done. Go ahead and take it off. And then she goes and brings movies into the living room. What kind of fucking crazy lunatic does that? Like, I mean, she was freaking nuts because of the way she cooked popcorn.
Wow. Okay. So the popcorn just threw you completely off. You're just like,
Like, at
what
the
in the
beginning of
hell
the movie, I was
is
already on the
wrong
killer
with her?
side.
Okay. Gotcha.
It's like,
yeah. But it was different though, right? Because the killers turn out, which we won't reveal quite yet, but the killers turn out to be characters that you followed throughout the entire movie.
And you actually like.
And you may have liked them a little bit,
Yeah.
And so I feel like it grounded Scream, even though, yes, a lot of the movie is very tongue-in-cheek and it's very meta. There's a part of it that feels a little more real than, Nightmare on Elm Street and Jason movies, and because
it could actually happen.
Maybe, yeah, and maybe it actually has. I mean, kids do some fucked up
listen to
shit
some
now.
true crime podcasts, and there's some really wacky stuff that happens. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah, the movie opened at number 4 at the box office in December of 1996, and everybody thought, "Oh, it's a flop," because if you open at number 4, that's not usually a good sign. But word of mouth was strong, and it stuck around for months and months and months. Literally almost 8 months it was in the theater, and it made over $100 million. And so it became a hit for Dimension Films, and a return to form for the director, Wes Craven, who never really stopped making horror films per se during his career, but he had not had a big hit really since Nightmare on Elm Street. He made a bunch of other ones, but none of them were like spawning sequels and, creating iconic characters or anything like that. So it sort of put him back in that king of horror category.
You think that's why Skeet Ulrich was hired? Because I think he looks a lot like Johnny Depp. A lot.
Possibly. Yeah. Well, there are a lot of allusions to other horror movies in this movie, which is one of the things I like about it so much. The script was actually written by a little-known, at the time, screenwriter named Kevin Williamson, who would later create the TV series Dawson's Creek and The Vampire Diaries.
Which I have not seen either of those.
Which you have not seen either of. It was kind of strange watching it again almost 30 years after the fact. So next year it's going to be the 30th anniversary, so it's 29 years.
It's hard to believe it's been that long.
It's nuts, right? Came out the year we graduated. It actually came out after the end of the year we graduated, so December of 1996.
Yeah, we were in college. Our first year.
It's such a significant memory of my past, like both, because it was a seminal moment, a year of my life, 96, but now it's sort of a cultural moment because Scream is still going on. It's still relevant, I should say, in the zeitgeist, which is kind of weird that something that came out 29 years ago is still being, they're still making sequels. There's still, TV series, all that stuff. So the films it's almost like a time capsule for me because it's set in that time period and I can look at the clothing that they're wearing and, when they're in that scene when they're in the grocery store and you see some of the labels from back then.
I remember when the labels looked like that. Yeah.
Yes, it's like a time capsule. And so, I don't know. It's just I
Gotcha.
enjoyed it on that level as well. As like it felt like a warm blanket. Like I remember that time. It was as scary as the movie as disturbing as a lot of it is. I enjoyed watching it. It was The Matrix was another time capsule for me, but I can't identify with that as much as because it's sci-fi and it's not like they're in the real world or anything.
Or were they?
Or were they? You were talking about it earlier, but I love that intro sequence with Drew Barrymore.
You loved it?
Well,
I
it's
had
really well.
anxiety the whole time.
It's anxiety. It's very anxiety inducing, but it's very well done, and the movie holds up really well. I think Drew was originally pegged to play Sydney, and I think she had made some horror movies before in her career. She came up with the idea of like, well, no, let me play the girl at the beginning, and I actually die. The audience will never expect that, like, and because they wanted her to be the lead, the Sydney character, and she opted for the opening sequence, which makes it a little reminiscent of Hitchcock's Psycho, right? Because the leading lady, who you think is the leading lady, gets offed right off the bat, in the first act. An interesting little anecdote during the DVD commentary, Wes Craven said the night before they started shooting that scene, Drew Barrymore told me a horrible story about a newspaper article about a dog being burnt by its owner, and it petrified her, and she started crying as she was telling him this. So every time that he needed her to get over that edge into the emotional place of like crying, he would just say, "Drew, I'm lighting the lighter." And she would burst into tears, which is incredibly disturbing to me. But
It is.
he had to get her to cry. I guess she was, It's a great intro to the movie, though. It really hooks you into,
It is a good intro. I guess that was the whole point. It was supposed to give you anxiety.
Yes.
But why did you have to ruin perfectly good popcorn?
Popcorn could have burned down the house, for God's sake. I mean, she,
Seriously.
just not paying attention to it at all. I mentioned before, but this movie is very meta, which means it's it's referencing itself, and it's also referencing a lot of other horror cinema as it's telling its story. And this is the first movie I want to say I watched that was like that. I mean, it has the character of Randy, who basically is, he works at a video store. He calls out the killers.
It was Jamie Kennedy, wasn't it?
Jamie Kennedy,
Mm-hmm.
who would go on also to have a show on MTV. The Jamie Kennedy Show, or was it Jamie Kennedy Show? Jamie Kennedy Experience? One of those things. I don't remember.
I liked Jamie Kennedy.
Who didn't like Jamie Kennedy? His character of Randy works at a video store, one of my favorite scenes in the movie, and he calls out the killers right there. He's like, "You two guys are probably the killers." They say things, to throw you off the scent, and things happen later to throw you off the scent, but there's so many red herrings and things in the movie. There's another scene later in the movie where he breaks down the rules of surviving a horror movie. And Billy Loomis, played by Skeet Ulrich, before deflowering Sydney at the party towards the end, actually states that they are in a movie. And he says life is just one big movie. And I loved all of this shit. When I was 18 and I saw this movie, because I was so into movies, wanted to make movies at the time. And I don't know, there's just parts of the movie that I just loved so much because it was referencing other movies, and movies I had not seen, by the way, because at this point I had not seen Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, Prom Night, none of those things.
So this was your very first kind of
but it was the
way to
perfect
get to
first
horror movies?
movie because it referenced all these other ones. And so when I watched those movies, it was like, this is like movie and Scream. They talked about this in Scream, and like,
Okay.
and all the rules that they talked about, I was like, it made those other movies more fun for me when I finally did get around to watch them. So there is a cameo by Wes Craven in this movie. At around the 52-minute mark, he plays Fred, the janitor, and he is dressed exactly like Freddy Krueger from Nightmare on Elm Street. And it's actually the actual outfit from the original 1984 Nightmare on Elm Street. Because I guess he still had it or knew somebody who
They
had
have
it.
multiple of the same outfit though.
Well, but it was one of the original. It's not like they made it for this movie. It was like, hey, I got this outfit. I'm going to put it on and I'm going to play the janitor. We talked about some of the red herrings. Who did you think was the killer as we were watching this?
At first I thought it was Dewey,
Dewey. Dewey. David Arquette as the great Dewey.
and then it transitioned to Courtney Cox's character.
Okay. Gail Weathers.
Yeah. And then for a little bit there, I was starting to think, okay, well, maybe it is her dad.
Yes.
Um, and then I'm like, I really didn't
Did
know
you ever
after
think it was
that.
the sheriff?
No, I never thought it was a sheriff.
Interesting, because there's a shot of the sheriff's boots at one point in the movie, and they're the same boots that you see in maybe the bathroom stall scene when the boots step off the toilet.
Oh, and
The
then
sheriff is actually wearing those same exact boots, and so he was supposed to be another red herring. I actually thought it was going to be Henry Winkler, the
well,
principal.
he got killed.
Well, obviously until he got killed. But there's the whole scene where he's in his office and he has the mask on, you know.
I liked him as a principal though.
He was a great principal.
He just automatically expelled people, and I'm like, yes, I wish we could do that today.
Yes. He's like, you're both expelled. Literally for running down the hall in a costume. They both got expelled. And if you notice, and again, I never noticed this the first time I watched it, but now that I know it's there, I see it every time. There is a black leather jacket in the closet of the principal's office. When he opens the office door to put the mask, when he's looking at himself with the mask, there's a black, like the Fonz's jacket is in the closet. And then he fixes his hair. He does the whole hair thing like the Fonz right before he gets killed. We have an interesting cast here. We've already mentioned a lot of them. You mentioned Dewey, David Arquette, Nev Campbell playing Sidney Prescott, who is our protagonist here. Strong, resilient high school student. Her mother has died the previous year. She was murdered, brutally murdered, and apparently raped. It's just bad all around. And supposedly Sidney pegged a guy named Cotton Weary, played by Liev Schreiber, in a very small part. You only see him on a TV screen. It turns out Sidney's mom was kind of a hoe.
Well, wasn't she raped and murdered by the people?
She was. That's
Billy
one of the
and-
reveals at the end, is that the killers actually were responsible for her mother's death. So yeah. And she's got a best friend played by Rose McGowan, Tatum Riley, and she is the sister of Dewey. They have an interesting relationship.
Yeah, I did want to talk about Sydney. Like, that girl could fight. Like, like everybody else wasn't able to fight. But Sydney, like, I don't know if she had some sort of training or something.
She could take care of herself. Like every time the killer tried to get her, she always escaped. No one else really did.
Yeah.
And I just guess like she was resilient. That was the whole idea. And that's why Nev Campbell actually took the part. I don't even think that her character, I mean, she shows weakness, which is something that, they wouldn't do a lot in a modern film. The girl's always like, I'm just badass from the get-go. But they do show that she's got weakness. She is scared, but resilient. And she just always gets away, like barely. It's not like, she's quick on her feet. And Nev Campbell was a dancer for many years, and so apparently that helped her with a lot of the physicality of the role.
Okay.
She could move around quickly. Another meta moment at one point, Tatum mentions, this is starting to sound like one of those Wes Carpenter movies, which is combining Wes Craven's name with John Carpenter. He directed Halloween. Wes Craven did Nightmare on Elm Street. So it was, a little bit of a play on. There's also a line in there where they say that only the first Nightmare on Elm Street was good. All the rest were shit. And that's the only one that Wes Craven directed. He actually wanted to take that line out. And Kevin Williamson was like, no, dude, you got to leave that in. That's how kids talk. Like, they're going to say that. The whole movie culminates. The first, 30, 40 minutes or so happen. And then the movie culminates in this huge party scene that closes it out in the third act. It was scene 118 of the movie. It is over 40 minutes long and took 21 days to shoot. And it all takes place in and around this large house. And you'll like this. The house location where they filmed it was actually built by a married couple who died within a month of each other. And then the children they had basically abandoned it and wanted no part of the house. And so when they were like, "Oh, we want to use it for the location," they were like, "Fine, use it. We don't care. Like, do whatever you want." So they basically gave them free reign of the house. Like, they just had the whole house to use.
I'm just wondering why you said you'll like this. They
Well,
died.
you enjoy real estate.
I
You
do
enjoy
like
real
real estate.
estate. And you like true crime stories. So I figured that was the joining of two of your passions, real estate and true crime.
Okay.
All right. Do you remember his 3 rules for the horror movie, Jamie Kennedy? Randy.
Well, I remember him saying, "Don't have sex, don't
Yes, you can
drink,
never have sex.
don't drink or do drugs,
And the third one?
don't look behind or look behind. Make sure you look behind you, or don't look behind you." I can't remember.
Close. No, it's never say, "I'll be right back."
Never say I'll be right.
Yes, as soon as someone says, "I'll be right back," they don't come back. Which is why Matthew Lillard jokes around and he's like, "I'll be right back."
But yeah, I was starting to think for a little bit that he had died. I'm like, how come he's not back yet? He should be
Maybe
back
so.
by
Yeah,
now.
he should be back by now. Well, he was off doing something else.
Yeah.
But his rules don't really make sense if you think about a lot of horror movies, because apparently the character of Jenny in Friday the 13th Part 2 has sex with Paul, and she survives the movie. And in Halloween,
But maybe she didn't have an orgasm.
well, that's a good point.
Maybe you have
He,
to have
he
an
didn't
orgasm.
specify orgasm. Because let's be honest, Nev Campbell didn't look like she had an orgasm after having sex with Billy, because, I mean, she was kind of like, I don't know. There was something off-putting about that after this, because of course it's a late '90s movie, so they didn't show the sex scene, which they would have definitely shown in the '80s. And they're kind of putting their clothes back on, and she's clearly looking like that was it. Like, okay, whatever. I waited for that. Like, okay. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Randy, played by Jamie Kennedy, is in the living room by himself watching Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween. And he is yelling at the screen saying, "Look behind you, Jamie," repeatedly. But at the same time, Ghostface is behind him, Jamie Kennedy, as the killer is behind him. So in the movie he's watching. So there's 2 Jamies technically, and they're both, and then the guy in the van is also saying, "Look behind you," later, right before he gets his neck sliced.
Yeah, that was a good.
That's my favorite scene in the movie, because it's just a brilliantly written bit, and there's meta stuff, there's like self-referential stuff. There's layers of meaning and stuff. I don't know, it's great. Yeah, that 30-second delay, that's a genius plot device for suspense. Like there's a 30-second delay, and they keep showing you that there is a 30-second delay, so that when Kenny, Gail's cameraman, gets it, it's like he's like 30 seconds. He turns around and he slits his throat, and he's like, "Were you disturbed by any of the violence in the movie?"
I mean, being 47 years old, I've seen a lot of violence in movies.
Yes.
So I wasn't. I mean, yeah, I was a little bit disturbed, but I mean, I wasn't. I mean, I watched Faces of Death when I was younger. And
Wow.
everything, so
You never told me that.
I didn't.
No.
Yeah, in high school, we would try to find movies that are like taboo.
It's funny you say that, because Skeet Ulrich actually said that when he was younger, because you got to realize these actors are playing teenagers, but they're all in their 20s. I think Drew Barrymore was like 23 or whatever, and she's playing a high school student. So, and they looked older than high school, let's be honest. But Skeet said that he watched Faces of Death, and like he went through that goth dark phase where he was like looking for the worst possible stuff to watch, try to sort of scare your friends, like, "Oh, you can't see nothing like this." Which we did have a couple of Faces of Death VHS tapes at the video store, and I remember those were very popular. And I didn't realize what it was, that it was footage of people dying. Like that's what it was. Like accidents and just
People eating
horrible
monkey
stuff.
brain, like
Yeah. I was just asking you how it affected you, because when this movie was sent to the ratings board, the MPAA, it had to be resent over 9 times because they originally gave it an NC-17. And each time, like the 9 times they would send it back, and Wes Craven would like kind of just take a couple of frames out of some shots, and he's like, "Come on, man! Like I don't want to." He's like, "If I take all of the gore out, it's not a horror film. It's and it's like I want it to be disturbing because that's the whole point of the movie. We're not trying to sensationalize the violence. We're trying to show you that it's horrific." And so eventually, one of the Weinstein guys from Miramax and they owned Dimension at the time, basically told the MPAA, look at it as a satire of a horror movie because there's funny things in this. There's jokes, and they even say that they even reference how violence would have an effect on your actions. Violence in movies, I should say, would have an effect on your actions. So I don't know. I just thought it was interesting that it was an NC-17, and once they told the MPAA, you know what, it's kind of like a comedy, and we're almost satirizing the violence, and they were like, oh, okay, well, okay, you can have an R. But I still think some of the kills in here are pretty morbid. Specifically at the beginning, Drew Barrymore's got her entrails hanging out,
and her boyfriend.
And her boyfriend. A lot of entrail action. So yeah, the movie comes out, like we mentioned, it does really, really well over time. Of course, would be released on home video in July of the following year. That's why we're talking about it today. For July, I'm just curious, what was your favorite scene? If you have a favorite scene, just
my favorite scene would probably have to be one with Dewey in it.
It's got to be Dewey.
Yeah,
well, you do realize that David Arquette, this is where David Arquette and Courtney Cox met.
Yeah.
And would later be married.
And then they got divorced. So
and then later divorced. But they were together for a long time.
And had a daughter.
And yeah. But I did enjoy their relationship because she sort of, you get the idea that she's looking down on him at the beginning, right? Like she's almost making fun of him a little bit. But then you realize, well, maybe not. Actually, I think she might really like him. Because at first I thought she was just trying to get close to him to get information, because that's what she is, a reporter.
I don't know. I still think she was. I don't know. She was out of his league.
You think, well, of course she's out of his league, but obviously not, because he actually ended up with her. So
Dewey's league.
Out of Dewey's league. That's true. Fun fact, David Arquette actually was trying to get the part of Billy originally, the Skeet Ulrich character.
Yeah, I couldn't see it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think he could have pulled off the psycho killer part, but I don't know. And that is what is revealed at the end of the movie, that Billy is the killer. And there's a great sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Fakery. There's a great fakery that happens because Billy is killed by the masked killer, but it turns out that there were two. There were two killers, too. And as far as I know, the first horror slasher film where there were two killers working in tandem with each other. And then what's cool is that it's a great rewatchability when you go back and watch it, because you can be like, oh, this is Billy doing this one, and this one is Stu doing this one because Billy's shows up right after, so
you go back and look for all the clues that
exactly
were there that you didn't notice the first time around.
Yeah. The film studios rushed to capitalize on Scream's success with teen-centric horror films and television series leading into the 2000s, such as I Know What You Did Last Summer, also written by Kevin Williamson, based on the book by Lois Duncan. That came out the following year. Urban Legend, The Faculty, both in 1998. Final Destination.
Oh, I loved Final Destination.
That was a good one. I see, but I still feel like Scream is better than all of those. I think so.
But Scream had more humor in it than Final Destination.
Yeah.
As a straight horror movie, I think Final Destination was better.
All right. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Scream spawned 5 sequels, which we will try to watch before Halloween. Not talking about them here, but just for your information. If you wanted to know.
I mean, if we need to, if we feel like we need to vent.
Yeah, if we're like, you're just so moved by some of the other episodes and some of the other versions, and you're like, I have to talk about this relationship between Dewey and Gale. Like, we need to talk about what's happening here. A TV series also. I stopped watching at Scream 3, so there's 3 of the movies that I have not seen. So it might be actually kind of cool to do this before Halloween. As of 2023, I don't know why that's where the numbers stop. Ghostface has been the best-selling Halloween costume of all time. Like since they've been measuring Halloween costumes, I guess, sales. Ghostface is number 1. What are your final thoughts on Scream?
It was an enjoyable movie to watch. It had humor. It had suspense. Um, the worst part was the burnt popcorn, but I mean, I enjoyed watching the movie overall.
Okay. Yeah. I still love this movie. I think it holds up very well 29 years later. The middle, I find, is the weakest part. It gets a little muddled in the middle, but the opening is still spot on, and the final 40 minutes, I feel, are peak horror movie for my money. The performances are great across the board. The 2 guys as the killers, Matthew Lillard said when he first saw the movie, he was like, "Oh my god, if I'd been the director, I would have told myself, you're going way over the top, dude. Like you need to bring it down like 30 notches." But I think he's fantastic in the movie. I think he's
Yeah.
just like he's such a goofy character throughout, and then once he turns out to be a killer, and it's like you kind of had that affection for him as the goofster,
The
and then once you
goofy, confident teenager.
yes, very confident. And
Mhm.
so I bought that's how he would, and then once you realize that he's that twisted as well, and that he actually ad-libbed the line, "My parents are going to be so
I was
mad."
just thinking about that line.
It's great. Like like you totally see him as a young, immature dummy that, and it was really probably not his idea in the first place. You figure it was Billy's idea, but because they were friends, he just went along with it,
Yeah.
because he always seems like when Billy stabs him and he's like, "Oh, like it's pretty bad, man," just
But that
all of that
happens
stuff.
a lot. Like you'll have a more confident, stronger personality, and then in the teenage years, and somebody will follow them into doing horrific things, and that's actually something that happens all the time. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think I enjoyed it more on this rewatch because I have now seen all of the movies that Scream references, all of the other horror movies, except for maybe Prom Night. I don't know if we watched Prom Night, but I know we watched all the Friday the 13th. We watched all of the Jason movies. We watched all of the. So I've seen all of those movies now. And so I actually enjoy all of the references more. What are you going to rate? Top 10 video rating scale, 1 through 10. What are you going to rate Scream?
I mean, I would give it an 8.
An 8 for Hollipop. I'm going to go 8.5.
Okay. Are you adding the 0.5 because I went 8?
No, I actually have it written down right here on my script.
I bet you weren't
8
expecting me to go that high.
I was not expecting you to go that high, but you did stay awake, and I've got the feeling that you were into the movie. So I think it's a very well made film,
Yeah,
and it holds up.
it is a well-made film.
All right,
Well acted, well performed, well directed. Everything about it was good.
well said, well said. All right, that's it, folks, for us. Top 10 video, July of 1997. Our next episode will cover a week and a film from August of 1997. Moving right along. We're going to try not to be as late on the next episode this time. All right. Love you, Hollipop.
Love you too, Roby.
And we love all of you at home.
And I just hope that you're not secretly a killer.
Wait, what? What?
Like,
Where did this come from?
well, I mean,
Why would I secretly be a killer? What?
her boyfriend was secretly a killer.
My goodness. Yes, but he was clearly a little off his rocker from the beginning. I don't think I've given the
And
impression
I think
that
y'all didn't you and Brent do do something. I don't know if it was a podcast or what about you killing each other's wives? Or
My God, that never happened. I don't know what. No. We're going to stop recording. This is going to be used in court. The Top 10 Video Podcast is produced by D. Robi and is a part of the Introverse Podcast Network.